It's been confirmed the drones found in multiple locations across the South came from North Korea. GPS data stored inside provided conclusive evidence. North Korea mounts a highly offensive racist attack on U.S. President Barack Obama. The contempt is unprecedented even for Pyongyang. And investigators have requested an arrest warrant for Cheonghaejin Marine CEO Kim Han-sik for his role in the Seoul sinking. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Friday, May 9th. I'm Luke Clary. South Korean and U.S. experts have determined that a number of unmanned aerial vehicles found in multiple locations in the South came from North Korea. Using GPS data stored inside the drones, the experts have determined their origin.
When the UAVs were first discovered, the South Korean military had pointed to North Korea's Reconnaissance General Bureau as the operator of the drones. In just 3 weeks, officials have found conclusive evidence to prove the drones were from North Korea once again. A joint South Korea and U.S. investigative team analyzed data such as coordinates of the geographical positioning system stored in the aircraft. The 3 drones found in the south each took off in North Korea 5 kilometers northwest of Kaesong, 27 kilos southeast of Haeju, and 17 kilos east of Pyonggang. The coordinates of their arrival in the north, if they did not crash south of the border, are also identical as the takeoff points. The drone found in Paju toured around key facilities in the Seoul region, including the presidential office, and captured 193 photos. Whereas the drone that fell on Baengnyeong Island surveyed a South Korean military unit on the Yellow Sea and photographed a total of 119 images. The pathway of the photos that were taken were exactly the same as the travel path programmed into the drones in advance. Officials also confirmed the specifications and functions of the 3 drones were nearly identical to those of Chinese-made UAVs. The South's military believes North Korea imported Chinese drones via Hong Kong and fixed them according to the Korean geography. The South says the North's drone incursion is a clear provocation that violates the Armistice Agreement and the Inter-Korean Non-Aggression Agreement. Seoul will sternly respond to the North's provocation, including issuing a warning through a United Nations command.
The GPS data stored inside the North Korean drones offered conclusive evidence of where they came from. Here's a closer look at what authorities have called the smoking gun.
Unmanned aerial vehicles fly to their destination without the help of pilots. Computer chips inside the drone contain the flight itinerary, such as the coordinates and altitude of their destination. Since its takeoff, a drone is in real-time contact with a GPS satellite to exchange information on its location, and a navigator helps it find its way. Data such as flight altitude, takeoff and arrival points, and satellite contact times are all recorded in the geographical positioning system. The North Korean drones had their flight plan files saved in memory chips inside the cockpit. Investigators secured the chips when the drones were found in March, but it took experts quite some time to analyze them, as the chips are Chinese-made and rarely used in South Korea. There were other challenges. If the chip was separated, the data could be automatically deleted, or the chip could destroy itself, which are some defense mechanisms that could have been in place. The chip therefore had to be connected to another device to extract the data indirectly.
테러 구성도가 있어야 그것을 통해서 어떻게 명령을 주고받는지 알고 그것을 통해서 내부에 있는 정보를 읽을 수 있는 그런 상황이기 때문에 시간이 오래 걸렸다고.
All of the data retrieved from the drones were the evidence needed that conclusively determined the planes came from North Korea.
A highly inflammatory racist tirade against American President Barack Obama. Who else could be behind it but North Korea? However, recent remarks comparing President Obama to a monkey sink to new lows even for Pyongyang.
North Korea's National Defense Commission issued a statement on May 2nd via the Central News Agency in which it unleashed criticism targeting U.S. President Barack Obama. Pyongyang called Obama a monkey of unclear blood. The racist remark is the North's response to the U.S. president's concerns about Pyongyang's provocations and a warning message that he sent at the latest South Korea-U.S. summit. The Washington Post reported that the North's disparaging statement was found belatedly on the personal blog of an American scholar. The Daily added that North Korea usually uses racist language to stress racial purity. The Washington Post said if North Korean women who cross into China looking for work or an escape become impregnated and later forcibly repatriated to the north are subject to either forced abortions or infanticide. A recent disclosed report drafted by the UN Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in North Korea also criticizes the North for violating its citizens' human rights. The Washington Post also pointed out that Pyongyang is unabashed in its verbal attack because Washington and Pyongyang have had no talks over the past 2 years. The U.S. government responded by telling Pyongyang to look first on itself.
Where they have no say over their future, over their government, over how they live their lives. So for someone, a leader of that country, to criticize us, especially using those terms, I think is quite frankly offensive.
The Washington Post criticized North Korea for its duplicity by saying the North maintains active ties with several African countries, and this year welcomed a team of former NBA players, most of them African Americans, for an exhibition basketball game attended by leader Kim Jong-un.
The U.S. House Armed Services Committee has approved the defense authorization bill for next year, stipulating that North Korea's denuclearization be achieved in a peaceful way. Some U.S. lawmakers also urged the Japanese government to apologize to its former sex slaves.
In its defense authorization bill, the U.S. House Army Service Committee included stipulations regarding the Korean Peninsula. The bill expresses the committee's deep concerns over North Korea's nuclear program and ballistic missiles. It says that the North's denuclearization must be achieved in a peaceful way. It also stresses that the committee supports Seoul's goal to achieve Korea's reunification by means of peaceful methods based on democracy and free market economy. It also calls for close collaboration between Seoul and Washington on North Korean matters. The bill was adopted unanimously. The paragraphs on the Korean Peninsula underscore the willingness of the U.S. House to cooperate in resolving inter-Korean issues. The bill stands a high chance of being passed later this month at the plenary session. In an unprecedented move, some of the committee members called on the Japanese government to apologize to the former sex slaves of the Japanese army.
And avoidance of the issue will continuously distract and cause strife in the trilateral relationship, impacting our strategic goals and missions in the region.
Representative Loretta Sanchez said that the issue of former comfort women must be solved properly in order to support Washington's pivot to Asia policy. The House's expression of concerns over North Korea and former comfort women will inevitably put pressure on the Obama administration.
Investigators have requested arrest warrants for Cheonghae Marine CEO Kim Han-sik for condoning the practice of overloading ferries like the Seoul. It also seems his inaction in the midst of the sinking could have exacerbated the tragedy.
Cheonghae Marine CEO Kim Han-sik was arrested in his home in Gyeonggi Province and taken to Mokpo, where the Joint Investigation Team is headquartered.
정말로 죄송하고 정말 죄송합니다. 죽을 죄를 졌습니다.
The team has requested his arrest warrant on the charges of manslaughter and negligence and overloading of cargo. His charges were the same as the 4 other Cheonghae Marine executives already under detention. The investigators assumed that the Seoul was able to carry more cargo than allowed 130 times since its maiden voyage in March 2013 because the CEO had approved and condoned it. The ferry operator's director testified during questioning that he had reported the ferry's poor recovery problem to Kim, but the management did not take any actions. The probe has revealed what had happened in the wheelhouse during the ferry's sinking. The helmsman testified that the operation crew had radioed the steering house to ask what to do about the passengers, but the second mate did not reply even after hearing the question. A Filipino performer couple who were also in the pilot house at the time reportedly stated the operation crew did not take any actions for the passengers and just told them to wait. The Joint Investigation Team is questioning the surviving crew members to verify whether these statements are true.
Incumbent Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon assumed responsibility for the recent subway accident in his first televised debate ahead of local upcoming elections. He added that new safety measures will be put in place to ensure public safety in the future.
At the start of the TV debate, Seoul Mayor Park Won-soon assumed responsibility for the recent subway accident. He said that nothing is more important than public safety.
서울시장인 저의 전적인 책임입니다. 정말 모든 것을 새롭게 시작하는 그런 마음으로 안전한 대책 제대로 세우겠습니다.
When asked why the faulty automatic brake system was not discovered during a safety inspection, he answered that the authorities had been lax about safety measures.
그 평소에 지하철의 안전관리가 제대로 되고 있지 않은 거 아닌가 하는 의구심을 떨쳐볼 수가 없는데
어제도 지하철이 안전했고 오늘도 잘 다니고 있기 때문에 내일도 안전할 것이라고 하는 안전 불감증의 근본 원인이 있다고 생각합니다.
To a question accusing him of being too detailed-minded and failing to see the big picture, Mayor Park referred to the deadly ferry disaster and stressed that small things matter.
사람들은 큰 그림을 그릴 것을 요구합니다. 그러나 저는 작은 일도 못하는 사람이 어떻게 큰 일을 하겠냐 이런 생각입니다.
The mayor also promised to do away with conventional campaigning, like using trucks with loudspeakers to drum up support in the run-up to the June 4th local elections.
In a recent survey, roughly half of Korean respondents say that living away from your parents is most desirable. 3 out of 4 say they'd prefer to live separately from their children, even in old age.
The Planned Population Federation of Korea surveyed 1,400 married men and women nationwide last month about their thoughts on looking after their elderly parents. 45% said living separate is the right thing to do. Some 44% said the children who can afford to do so should live with parents, while 11% said the eldest or son should be the ones responsible for caring for parents. There were a big difference in gender as 34% of men and 7% of women believe this responsibility lay on their eldest child. When asked if they would live with their children when older, 77% said they wouldn't want to, even if the children asked for it. As for spending money to parents, 62% of the respondents said they only give allowance on birthdays and holidays. 29% regularly gave money to their folks. Of those who regularly gave allowance to their parents, about half, about 55%, said they gave both parents of the husband and wife. 42% gave about $100 to $200, while 27% said they gave $200 to $300. 3 out of 4 people said they never lived with the parents of his or her spouse under one roof for more than 3 months after marriage. The Planned Population Federation that conducted the survey says people must plan for their later life, and the government should set up a senior welfare system for stable life in one's later years in Korea's aging society.
Samsung Group subsidiary Samsung SDS goes public this year. The value of the company's shares surged 120-fold in a scheme that appears to be laying a foundation for inheritance of the company by Samsung Electronics Vice Chairman Lee Jae-yong.
Lee Jae-yong acquired a stake in Samsung SDS using 3 methods. In 1996, he bought a 7.4% stake in Samsung SDS for $4.3 million, even though he wasn't even a shareholder. That was possible because Samsung subsidiaries gave up the acquisition of the shares for their nominal value. 3 years later, in 1999, Lee Jae-yong increased his stake to 8.8% by buying bonds with warrant for $4.6 million. The price per share was around $7, which was just an eighth of the over-the-counter value. In December last year, he invested $1.5 million, becoming the largest shareholder of the network solution provider Samsung SNS through an M&A. This move enabled him to raise his stake even further. As a result, he raised his stake in Samsung SDS to 11.25%.
SNS의 이재용 부회장의 지분이 48%이기 때문에 이걸 합병함으로 인해서 이재용 부회장의 주식 가치를 더 확대할 수 있는.
The value of Samsung SDS's shares multiplied, their over-the-counter price reaching $146 per share. If Samsung SDS is listed on the stock exchange, Lee's investment in its shares will surge 120-fold in just 10 years, reaching $1.2 billion. Samsung's owning family has already been found guilty by the court of its illegal inheritance process that utilized forfeited stocks and bonds with warrant. Lee Jae-yong's attempt to use his Samsung SDS assets in order to inherit Samsung from his father will likely spark yet another controversy.
With the rise of mobile devices, most people can snap a photo anytime, anywhere. The Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism has announced a list of great spots to take photos. Here are two of them in Gyeonggi Province. This is one of the photogenic sites chosen by the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. It's Kaesong Reservoir in Ansong, Gyeonggi Province. With a circumference of 13 kilometers, it's the largest lake in the region. The islet at the center of the lake adds a layer of beauty. We're fortunate to have an expert to guide us around Ansong. It's photographer Tae-soo.
이곳은 사진 찍기 좋은 명소로 이번에 선정된 곳이고요. 이곳은 호수가 넓기 때문에 우리 사진하는 분들도 많이 오지만 낚시를 즐기는 강태공들이 많이 찾는 곳이기도 합니다.
The lake is famous for its foggy early mornings. It's the perfect time to take beautiful dream-like photos. More than 120 fishing spots can be found around the reservoir. Getting to the fishing spots in a rowboat offers a unique romantic experience. The quiet fishing spots are like heaven on earth for fishers.
자연 그대로의 낚시터라서 정말 좋아서 한 일주일에 한 번은 꼭 오는 것 같아요.
He got one. This is the perfect moment to take a photo. He even gives his catch of the day a little kiss. Next, let's go to a wide grassland. This farm has a rye field measuring nearly 1.3 million square meters. Many people come to take photos of the farm's exotic landscape. The field produces rye for farm animals. There are some 30 varieties of animals on the farm. Visitors have the chance to feed the animals themselves.
만지고 이렇게 가까이서 먹이도 주고 하니까 너무 좋아하고 좋은 것 같아요.
There is another good destination for a one-day trip near Seoul. This is Yongin in Gyeonggi Province. This is a favorite of many photographers.
여기 보면 야생화가 많이 잘 조성이 돼 있어요. 그다음에 원두막도 있고 다랭이론도 있고 뭐 우리가 이렇게 사진에서 테마로 잡을 수 있는 것이 참 많아요.
The park features some 300 kinds of flowers and an old rural village. Small huts serve as good resting places. In spring, flowers are the most popular among photographers. Here are some of the shots. Lastly, a camping site, but this place is famous for its survival training facility.
정신무장좀 시켜주려고, 강인하게 살라고.
Campers can enjoy unique experiences while crossing a rope net bridge and zipping down a wire cable. Many people are with their families. Children are usually the most excited. First, they may be a little scared, but soon they become thrill seekers.
국정원 스파이가 된 것 같아요.
This is also a great moment to pull out cameras and take photos to bring home the vivid memories of your family outing.
일단 당일 코스로 이렇게 좋은 곳이 있는지 정말 몰랐어요. 여러분들도 이렇게 당일로 많이 이렇게 여기를 찾아주시면 좋겠습니다.
Taking photos with your loved ones is always the best way to capture great moments. Schedule a family outing this weekend before it gets too late. Spring is the perfect time to do so. And now let's take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again right here on Monday. Have a great weekend.